Hi everyone, my name is Refiloehape Sesinyi, and I go normally by the nickname of Fifi. I come from the kingdom in the sky, that is the beautiful mountain kingdom of Lesotho within the Southern Africa, the small landlocked country by South Africa. So I'm attending the Inclusive Africa Conference as a panelist, speaking in two panels, transforming education through influence of policy and practice, as well as on leadership of youth with disabilities.
Wow, where to start with all that? Can I first off say, can I just come to Lesotho? That sounds wonderful. I want to go
Doesn't
there.
it?
Please come to Lesotho. You will really enjoy the mountains, and we have beautiful landscapes, and the population is not big, so
perfect.
we can know each other. So hospitality is very good.
Well, listen, I've been to Africa once in my life. I was in Ghana, and I can tell you that the hospitality there was wonderful. So if it's anything like that, I'll be
We're
fine.
there. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, wonderful to have you on the show with us. I really appreciate your time today. You're talking on the subject of education at the Inclusive Africa Conference, and it's funny, we've just had the wonderful conversation with Elvira there talking about this very issue, and the talk really was around the challenges to the education system to try and be more inclusive to disabled people. What's your take on education at the moment across Africa and your experiences in this field?
Well, talking on inclusive or education generally in Africa, but paying a particular focus on learners with disabilities, many challenges still persist. And I would love to use my lived experiences as some of the examples as I try to explain the situation on the ground. So in Lesotho, so far we have two schools for the visually impaired with well-established resource centers, one in primary level and the other at secondary level. So that makes it particularly challenging because if all of us in the entire country, we have to travel to the capital town. It means we cannot all access the education because now others, when you fail, you need to be out of the system so that you open space for the boarding facility as well as the resources because they are very few. So you need to be out of the system. And the other challenge that still persists a lot is the challenges that face particularly girls with disabilities, because you'll find that these schools, they are church schools, and they still have their own policies that you are a mother or you're pregnant, you need to be out of the system. So for girls with disabilities, that means they cannot fully access education. And considering that we have so many persistent challenges, I also work with the Lesotho National Federation of the Organizations of the Disabled. So we did undertake a study, and we were aware that around 54% of girls with disabilities drop out of school, and 41% of boys drop out of school. And among the factors that perpetuate this dropout rate is gender-based violence, and as well as lack of accessibility. So the limited schools and the lack of resources make it particularly tough. I remember while I was still in school, I was not born blind, but I got visually impaired while in secondary school. So we didn't have audiobooks. We had few Braille books, and most of the time I particularly had to depend on other learners to read for me. So that, in so many ways gave me a challenge, because if they don't want to read, then I need to find another one or try to bribe them in other ways, like, okay, I make you my friend so that we can continually be supportive to my education and my learning. So that is not the only challenge. The challenge still persists regarding which subjects we undertake, because I remember we were exempted from taking sciences and maths as well as computer, which was pretty challenging because as I wanted to go to the university and advance with my studies, I needed to have computer literacy so that I can do my research. And it was very frustrating because now I had to teach myself how to use a computer with a speech reader. And at the same time, I have to be learning, putting a lot of pressure. And so many students with disabilities still are facing a challenge and cannot make it to that level. So challenges still persist, and many of them.
Yeah, you mentioned challenges. I just think, I mean, where do you even start with a problem like this? Because you do mention, the accessibility issue and resources, of course, and a lot of people will be familiar with that. But it's not just that. As you said, you've also got the social aspect, gender violence and things like that, which where do you even begin to tackle this problem?
Okay. So, as a woman with disability, most of my advocacy are influenced by my lived experience. So, growing up, am born from my parents are visually impaired. So, within the community, I found myself as well as my sisters who are also visually impaired, sometimes facing challenges because we're born and raised in a family that is, perceived inferior or having being unable to do some of the things. And I remember after the death of my father, the relatives sold our home because we're girls and disabled for that. So I started having the passion and dream of following a career of understanding in depth some of the challenges, because I felt there was some sort of injustice that hindered us and the rest and many other girls within my community to access even education, because from my experience at home, I'm the first graduate and the only one who went to the university. And my understanding is that it is not just about resources within the school and just accessibility. There's so many factors at play. So for me, it's both personal and it's some of the things that often were not considered, because for so long, gender issues and disability issues were being treated separately. But now, when the two intersect, they do perpetuate the inequalities that girls with disabilities face, and they play a key role, even not just what is happening at home, even within the school systems and what we experience. And that itself play, they are at play, and they do put us in a situation where we do not have equal opportunities. That is why I brought the subject of the social aspect in this.
I mean, your lived experience is so vital in the conversation. When people say speak out, this is the perfect example of when it is necessary to speak out, because without actually discussing these issues in public, people don't know that the issues are hidden, the challenges are hidden, because no one's able to talk about them. And I say able to talk about them because it takes a lot to speak out, doesn't it? It takes a lot to actually stand up and tell your story, especially around in a world or in a culture where perhaps you're seen as inferior, you're seen as less. It can be difficult to get any traction at all.
It isn't it very difficult. It requires support and from the entire members of the community, because you find that in most cases, even from the study that Lamford also undertook, you find that the perpetrators in most cases are our support system. And being violated by somebody who was expected or is seen as somebody who is protecting you is difficult to speak up, and having a disability, not even having the opportunity to go around or report to anyone, it means we are often silenced and we don't have the opportunity to tell the world of what is going on and the support that we need. So with this, timing also being in this conference, it becomes very important to talk about them, because there's so many things playing or on play that hinder access to education as well as development of persons with disabilities.
Yeah, and I wonder from your experiences and what you've experienced in your life, and working in and around education now, are you seeing any improvement at all?
Okay, now I can say, considering my lived experience, I can say now there is, a difference and improvement of which I can say is because of the exposure and the networks that I'm building as I grow, as well as sharing the challenges that we face. But still, I wouldn't deny the fact that I still face more often attitudinal barriers, because I need to fight. I need to, use my voice to try to express the challenges that I go through. Like, I remember while I was undertaking my honors degree in gender studies, there was a point where I had to address the department director, telling them that I was not given time accommodation to do assignments. And I was trying to explain to them, I have no background in computer skills. I'm teaching myself. And with that lack of accessibility, it makes it difficult for me to be on time. At the same time, I have to rely on someone who would edit my work to make it acceptable within the department, because the technical or the looking of the document also contributed marks. And they were telling me I should work hard. And I was at a point where I was telling them, how hard should I go? Because I've did all I could, but now I'm crying because I cannot take it anymore. There were even a moment where I even have to depend on energy drinks and my body couldn't take it anymore. So challenges still persist, and I still need to speak out, and more voices of persons with disabilities. I still needed that we voice these challenges, because if maybe I didn't have a voice to speak, for now I couldn't have the degree. And I remember telling her, give me support and you will see my potential. And at last, I was able to graduate with distinction, and I was awarded the best BA honor student in gender studies, of which could not have happened if they didn't respond after me fighting with them or having to express how I'm going through and telling them they are unfair.
Yeah, we've got to work twice as hard to get half as far, don't we? That's the reality of it, and that seems to be the case around the world. But I don't want to dismiss the reality that there are parts of the world, like where you are, where that challenge can be more challenging, right? And two things can be true at the same time. I think you would agree that because I know when people ask you about improvements, there's a tendency to back off that a little bit and say, yes, there are improvements, but let's not lose sight of the fact there are still issues. Yeah. And that's really important that you highlight that, because there are still issues today. I mean, what are the roots to this? I mean, you talk about the advocacy, the exposure helping. Is that through things like social media? Is it the internet? Is technology playing a part in the success of the advocacy you're doing?
Technology is key. Is key because through it, I was able to access international opportunities like the Mandela Washington Fellowship, where I was given an opportunity to be trained under civic engagement at Michigan State University. And that also gave me an exposure to have a professional development experience at Austin Lighthouse for the Blind and Visually Impaired in Texas, as well as Peckham for Disabled in Michigan, East Lansing. So that exposure that I got, and I was also introduced to different assistive technologies while I was in the US, they really played a key part for me to be exposed of what opportunities are there out there and what other people are also doing, which gives me also strength and resilience regardless of what challenges I'm going through, and also understanding I'm not the only one in Lesotho, but this is a problem, it's a global problem. And I'm also able to learn and read what other people are also doing and how do they overcome even the challenges that they're facing. So there with technology, social media also comes in, and there's opportunities I get through the use of technologies. They give me exposure to a vast network of people. So they also play a key role, because in the things that I cannot access or I was not even aware of, they keep on shouting, hey, Fifi, there's this opportunity. We think it aligns well with what you're doing. So they are really interconnected one way or the other, but technology is key.
Absolutely. And we're seeing, we're hearing lots of themes from Inclusive Africa here, and, networking and sharing this lived experience and sharing, your own experience with technology and education. That seems a key aspect of Inclusive Africa as well. Just being able to share the knowledge and take it back to where you started from and implement it. I'm interested on that point about education, and also you mentioned youth development. I suppose they're kind of linked, but you also mentioned you're talking on a panel about youth development.
Okay, yes, I'll be talking about, I'll be also on that panel that will be talking about the future generation of leaders, youth with disabilities. So on that panel, we'll be talking about reflecting on our lived experiences and how we can support youth with disabilities to be leaders, and how that can change the narrative of what is really happening across Africa, and how we can impact the lives of other persons with disabilities. So I can say the two, the one on education as well as youth leadership, they are interconnected, because through education, inclusive education, youth can be empowered, they can be supported. So on this one of youth leadership, it is essential from my point of view that youth are being given a helping hand, because if they are not supported, they will not have voice to speak whatever challenges they're going through. And for so long, it will continuously continue that their experiences, their challenges are left behind, and it's worth it that youth with disabilities are also supported.
Before I let you go, Fifi, tell me what's in the tech bag. What do you throw into the case when you're going on a trip like this? Because we love to know what's in the tech bag. Blind people's tech bags are the best. What have you got with you? Is it just an iPhone, an Android? What is it? What have you got?
Wherever I go.
Yeah,
Okay,
what have you got with you? What do you bring with you?
Okay, whenever I go, besides having my Android phone, I always love to bring around the Lesotho hats, because I want Lesotho to be known and people to understand the challenges that we face in Lesotho, as well as building connections. So for me, it's my phone, my white cane, and then the hats.
And your hats as well. Wonderful. I'll hope to get one of those at some point. Listen, I thank you for speaking out.
Do.
Yeah. I thank you so much for speaking out, and also for coming on to the show as well. I can only imagine how difficult it is for your story to be heard above the noise, especially in today's world. So I'm really pleased that that voice is being heard, and I wish you all the best at the conference, and I wish you all the best in your travels back to Lesotho.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.